Welcome back to the Andrew and Ian Show. I'm Andrew Serwick here again today. Today it is just me. Ian is out of town this weekend. He's out of town for a wedding. He told me he's just not gonna have the time to be able to go back and record an episode on his phone with me. So today it's just me. So I'm gonna try and get through this a little bit quick. Obviously, we're gonna preview the weekend. But first, real quickly, I want to talk a little bit of NHL. I know on Tuesday's episode we talked about the Lucas Raymond signing in Detroit, and today, Mort Seider signed his contract. And I know we talked about that, how he was a lot closer to a deal than Raymond was, and then we got the Raymond deal before the Seider deal. So I was like, okay, well, we got to be getting a Seider deal here soon, right? And yeah, well, today we did. It's a 7-year deal. $8.55 million AAV. That's annual average value. It's a good deal. It locks up Seider for basically his prime years. He'll be also 30 years old by the time this contract is up, just like the Raymond deal. So this works out really, really well. For Detroit, it locks up both these two, key core players for the Red Wings in their prime window years, and now going forward, it's just make the playoffs, make your cup run, and with the salary cap rising every single year, and it's projected to go up, another 3-4 million this coming or going into next season. This is going to be very, very good. It's going to work out very, very well for Detroit. Steve Yzerman did a great job. And, and I always said, Steve Yzerman doesn't always have the greatest contracts, but this is a nice contract for Detroit. This is a great signing from Steve. One of the few contracts that he signed that I actually really, really like, just like the Raymond deal. But yeah, this is really, really good. In other news, in the NHL, they're also looking at expansion. Right now, Houston and Atlanta are the two front runners for that. And part of that was just the Arizona question was what was basically stopping any sort of thoughts of expansion at the time. But now Utah's being treated like a expansion team, and now the NHL's looking at expanding again, Atlanta and Houston, the two front runners. We know we've tried Atlanta twice, but both times, obviously, very, very poor ownership caused the teams to relocate. Obviously, the first iteration is now the Calgary Flames, and the Winnipeg Jets were the most recent Atlanta team to be relocated. There's an ownership group in Atlanta that is very capable of this and want a NHL team, and it'd be interesting to see. Houston obviously makes a ton of sense. It's a huge sports market. The city's wanted a team for a very long time, and it would work out. So I think that would be very, very great. I talked to Ian about that a little bit. He said that'd be great. He'd really support the Houston idea. He's a little hesitant on the Atlanta idea, of course, which is understandable. Because, it has been tried twice and failed twice. But, anyways, that's it for the NHL. So let's get right into previewing this weekend for you guys. Right now, we got Thursday Night Football going on right now. Jets are up 14-3 over the Patriots with 12 minutes left to go in the third quarter. Long way to go for this game right now. But the Jets look good. The Jets have looked really, really good so far in this game. The Patriots, absolutely not, though. They just cannot move the ball. But the Jets came into this game a 6.5 point favorite. If we did a preview on Tuesday, I still would have told you guys I'm taking the Jets to win and cover. I think they're a lot better of a team. They still have some questions on the defensive side of the ball. Or not the defensive side, the offensive side of the ball. With Aaron Rodgers, because he can still sling it, he just can't run it anymore, and but the offense as a whole is still good, and so yeah, I'd take the Jets to win and cover. So moving on now to Sunday, starting with the noons or the afternoon slots. We got the Steelers hosting the Chargers. The Chargers, I believe, are no Pittsburgh favored by 1.5 in this one. The Steelers they're not good. That 2-0 start to the season, it's really really misleading. They've scored one touchdown this entire season so far through two games, and you're not gonna sustain winning by kicking only field goals. Justin Fields doesn't look particularly good, although he's a much better option than Russell Wilson, I might add. The Chargers era with Jim Harbaugh has started off really really strong. Justin Herbert is still an elite level quarterback, and they got some weapons for him to throw to. Joe Alt is already becoming a really good left tackle in the NFL. So I'm gonna roll with the Chargers here to win and to obviously cover that 1.5. Give me the Chargers by 2 scores in this one, about 10 points, I would say. The Vikings host the Texans. The Texans laying 1.5 on the road. Oh, that line's moving out to 2. Okay. But yeah, they're laying 2 to Minnesota. Look, Sam Darnold has started off the year pretty damn well. Granted, he has Jordan Addison. He has T.J. Hockenson. He obviously has the best wide receiver in all of football in Justin Jefferson. The defense looks pretty good this year so far, too, to start. It's just, can Sam Darnold, sustain this level of play that he's been playing at to start the year? On the other side, the Texans, they've had a good start to the year. The offense seems to be rolling, and C.J. Stroud just is building off of where he ended last season. So I'm going to take the Texans to win this one. I don't think the Vikings are completely legit yet, and Texans, I really like the direction this team is going. So I'm gonna take the Texans, and yeah. The Saints host the Eagles, and the Saints are favored by 2.5 in this one. The Saints are playing out of their mind. They have scored on every single possession this year through 2 games. They have not punted once. That's just how good their offense is playing. Philly, on the other hand, while they've played well, they fell apart last week, especially in the fourth quarter, or on Monday, against Atlanta, and that's kind of a scary thing to see. I'm going to take the Saints to win this one. I think they cover that 2.5 as well. I think they can easily win it this one by a field goal. We'll call this 23-20. That's what I'm looking at. The Buccaneers host the Broncos. The Bucs are favored by 6.5 in this one. It has been a very, very rough start for the Broncos this year, especially for Bo Nix. He's 46 for 77, 384 yards, and 4 interceptions through 2 games. And Baker Mayfield's playing at an incredible level so far through 2 games. Yes, he didn't have the greatest game against the Lions last week. He was sacked 5 times. 4.5 of those were by Aiden Hutchinson. But yeah, the Bucs are very, very good this year on both sides of the ball. I mean, while they, a lot of what happened last week in Detroit wasn't necessarily, the Bucs playing great defense. It was more just Detroit playing like ass. They still have a pretty damn good defense. Now the offense, obviously, like I said, Baker Mayfield is really, really, really good this year. He's come around, from what he was a few years ago in Cleveland, and obviously what he was in Carolina. He's found a home in Tampa, and it's actually working out very, very well for him. So I'm going to go ahead here. I'm going to take the Bucs to win and to cover that 6.5. I just can't trust Denver with that offense. Unless Bo Nix can really start to figure it out, man. It's going to be a long, long season for Denver. The Titans host the Packers. on Sunday afternoon, and we have the Titans actually favored by 3 in this one, which is kind of surprising given the situation. But Jordan Love, we don't know if he's going to be playing or not yet in this game. He was taking some snaps, but everything seems to indicate that Jordan Love will not be playing in this one. Tennessee, obviously, rough start to the season, 0-2. Will Levis hasn't actually been too bad. Yes, he has more interceptions than touchdowns right now, but he doesn't have a whole lot to work with either in Tennessee. So I am going to take the Packers in this one. Their defense is really, really good. I know Jordan Love might be out, but give me the Packers to win this one on the road. Cleveland hosts the New York Giants. The Browns are favored by 6.5 in this one, and this is the two worst quarterbacks, or at least two of the worst quarterbacks in the league. I say the worst for Daniel Jones and the Giants. He's awful. I know Deshaun Watson is not good, but he's a lot better than that. The Browns defense did get clowned on in week 1, but I don't think they're going to have any issues with the Giants when, you don't have an offensive line in New York, and you don't have a quarterback who can throw the ball in New York. So give me the Browns. They win. They cover. No problem there. Next game here, we got Indy hosting the Indianapolis Colts hosting the Bears. The Colts only favored by 1.5 in this one, and this is kind of an interesting matchup. The Colts are 0-2 to start the year, not what I think really anyone was expecting, and obviously I moved here to Indy a few years ago for work, and I was listening to today, and a lot of people here obviously think that the Colts are going to win this weekend. And I think it is possible. I also think it's very possible for the Bears. The Bears have a really, really good defense, but their offense sucks. Anthony Richardson is kind of a glass cannon, like I talked about. He makes some really good throws, and he makes a lot of boneheaded throws. And it's just like, Matt, what are you doing? I am going to take the Colts to win this game, though. I think it's going to be a very close game. It's going to be very, very low scoring. The Bears' defense is legit, but their offense sucks. I think the only way the Bears win this game is the defense and special teams score points like they did in week 1. And from there, you can definitely win a game. But Caleb Williams has not lived up even close to the hype so far. And, like we've said, the Bears have never had a 4,000-yard passer in their entire franchise history. And Caleb Williams ain't going to do that this year. So, it's going to be very, very interesting for sure. And but I am going to take the Colts to win. They're going to win this by 2 points, maybe 3 points. So I'll take the Colts to win and cover. To the evening games, we got Arizona hosting Detroit. Detroit laying 3 to the Cardinals on the road. Detroit last week, a lot of problems offensively, especially in the red zone. They looked horrific. Ben Johnson's play calling has to be better. He had a lot of stupid plays, a lot of passes right in the middle, late in the game, where you need to have guys running out routes so you can get out of bounds. You got to start taking shots into the end zone because the Lions, they were not doing that either. Arizona, on the other hand, offensively, they have looked really, really good. And the only reason why they aren't 2-0 right now is because Josh Allen went Superman on them in week 1. Otherwise, I think the Cardinals would have won that game if Josh Allen didn't do that in the second. Didn't do what he did in the second half of that game in week 1. I'm gonna take Detroit to win. Look at the home. We're picking the Lions to win. I think the Lions the defense is a lot better than anything Arizona has faced this year. Now their offense is legit. Don't get me wrong. And that said, Detroit's offense hasn't looked good, but the Cardinals' defense isn't necessarily that great either. So yeah, I'm taking Detroit to win, and they break even on that 3. So give me Detroit to win, I guess they do technically cover, winning by a field goal. Um, Next game here, we got the Raiders hosting the Panthers. The Raiders are favored by 5. That is the Devil's number, as we know. But Carolina blows. They got Andy Dalton starting this week because Bryce Young lost his job. And so far through 2 games, Gardner Minshew has actually looked really, really good. 55 for 71, 2 touchdowns, 533 total yards, and he has thrown 2 picks, but he's been very, very efficient in the 2 games so far. We don't know what Andy Dalton is anymore because he hasn't played any meaningful snaps in a very long time. Give me the Raiders to win. They cover that 5 as well. Seattle hosts Miami. Seattle laying 4.5 to Miami. Again, another Devil's number here. That 5 is just it. There's something about that number, but I'm gonna have to go with the favorite again here. Seattle is just a lot better. Miami lost Tua, so now they're really screwed. They got injuries all over the place in Miami as well. Geno Smith has looked pretty decent to start the year. Good, very good from an efficiency standpoint, but he's also not made the greatest decisions at times, but overall very, very good. So yeah, give me Miami to win and to cover that 4.5. The Cowboys host the Ravens. Baltimore is actually favored in this one by 1. This is another team that they started 0-2, and you did not expect this team to be 0-2 to start the year. And we know the statistics of teams that start 0-2, their chances of making the playoffs are very, very, very low. And, Baltimore, this is a get-right game for them, but it's against a very, very tough Dallas team. A tough team offensively and pretty good defensively, don't get me wrong. So it's going to be very, very interesting here. A lot of questionables for both these teams on the injury list. CeeDee Lamb's questionable, but he's probably going to play. I mean, the way I view it is, if you're questionable, you're more than likely playing. There's like a 99% chance you're playing if you're questionable on the injury report. But yeah, so far this year, both these quarterbacks haven't been really that great. Haven't seen anything too inspiring here. I'd like Baltimore in this one. I think they are a better team. They're a lot more talented on the offensive side of the ball. And Dallas' defense, I think, is going to struggle a bit against this, and especially against Lamar Jackson on the ground. Not so much through the air. I don't think Lamar wants all this respect as a quarterback. Well, it's like, start being an actual quarterback instead of a running back. But, yeah, give me Baltimore to win here. They cover that 1, of course. And yeah, the Rams host the 49ers. The Niners, a 6.5-point favorite in this one on the road. Look, this is a game I probably wouldn't bet on even if I had a free $100 to bet on it with. It's just such a crapshoot, I think, because you're missing a lot of guys on both teams. But the Rams are a lot more beat up. They have a lot of guys on their offensive line that are second and third string guys. So give me the Niners to win, but they don't cover. This is going to be a very, I wouldn't necessarily say low scoring game, but it's not going to be a very entertaining game. The Falcons host the Chiefs. The Chiefs, a 3-point favorite in this game. This is a very, very interesting matchup because I think it is going to be very, very close. If the Falcons play like they did on Monday against the Chiefs, and the Chiefs play like they did this past weekend, the Falcons could very, very easily win this game. Kirk Cousins looked a lot more comfortable on Monday night than he did in Week 1, and that helps, right? And if he keeps getting more comfortable, he's going to get he's going to just get better as the season goes on. Mahomes didn't look good last week. He really did not look good. He was sacked multiple times, and he threw a couple picks, and yet they still pulled off a very, what's the word I'm looking for? Like just gritty win. Um, Atlanta's loaded with stars. Give me Atlanta to upset the Chiefs here at home. Yeah, give me Atlanta to win. And then Monday night we got two games going on, one at 7:30 and one at 8:15. We got the Bills hosting the Jaguars. Um, the Bills are a 5-point favorite in this one. I don't like that number at all. Um, but yeah, I think a lot of this game is going to ride on Josh Allen being Superman. I think Jacksonville's defense could do enough to contain him. Give me Jacksonville to get the upset win here. I know that's not, I know a lot of people are going to say, what are you doing, man? But I like Jacksonville in this one for some reason. I feel like this is a game where just like Buffalo's going to come in and they're going to expect to win and they're going to end up losing. And it's going to be a huge, huge upset here for the Bills. And then lastly, we got the Bengals hosting the Commanders. The Bengals, a 7-point favorite at home. They're 0-2 to start the year. This has to be a get-right game for them. A lot of Bengals fans are acting like they're the best 0-2 team ever, but man, guys, you're 0-2. Stop acting like you're actually, good. There's lots of problems with your team right now, and yeah, it's just not looking good for you right now. But yeah, I think the Bengals win this game. They have a lot more talent on both sides of the ball. Washington does not have an offensive line. The defense for Cincinnati is so much better than whatever the fuck they're bringing out there in Washington. So yeah, give me Cincy to win and to cover that one. So that's going to wrap it up for the NFL. We're going to now move on over to college football here. And we got a lot of we got a couple top 25 matchups this week. I think 2, maybe 3. But let's get it started here with number 22, Nebraska, hosting number 24, Illinois. Nebraska, a 7.5-point favorite in this one. Illinois has been better than expected so far to start the year. So has Nebraska to an extent. Dylan Raiola has proven to be that he just might be legit. Now, he is 18 years old, so he's got a lot of time to grow here in Nebraska. But the future's bright. It's headed in the right direction. Give me Nebraska to win, but they don't cover that 7.5. I think they win it by 7. Again, Illinois has been very surprising so far to start the year, but I don't think they can do enough. And, Nebraska's a very tough environment to play in. It's not necessarily the Nebraska of old, but it's starting to get that way. Number 18, Michigan hosts number 11, USC. USC a 5-point favorite in this one. Look, obviously, I'm a Michigan fan. I think the only way Michigan wins this game is if they run a triple option all day because Davis Warren lost the starting spot. Now Alex Orji is in as the starting QB. He can't throw. And you're not going to beat USC throwing. Now they have some trouble against the run, and you can exploit that. If Michigan can run a triple option offense with Alex Orji and Khalil Mullings and Donovan Edwards, yeah, USC might be in trouble in this one. I am going to take Michigan, and yes, again, I'm taking my favorite team, but if Michigan plays this right, they can beat USC no problem in this one. I do like USC to win this one, though, but I am going to take Michigan because, 1, devil's number. 2, it's in Michigan. It's one of the toughest environments to play in college football. And USC can't stop the run right now. I mean, I shouldn't say that. They can stop the run. They're just not as good. They're better than they were last year at stopping the run, but they're not as good as some other teams are at it. So, number 3, Ohio State hosts Marshall in this one. Ohio State, a 39.5-point favorite in this one. This is a big noon game. I don't get why. Marshall sucks. And yeah, Ohio State's just it's gonna be like playing a MAC school for Ohio State. It's like No one really cares. Number 21, Clemson hosts NC State. Clemson, a 18.5 point favorite in this one. Now, I know I liked NC State to start the year, but they haven't been as promising as I thought they were. Clemson, you know, they're an okay team. There's nothing super special about this team. Klubnik has been pretty good so far, though, to start the year for them, and I really like Maffa. It's just he doesn't have the offensive line in front of him that he needs to really be an elite level running back in college football. But give me Clemson to win. They don't cover. I think NC State's defense is gonna contain them a little bit better, but I'd say probably a 10-point win there for Clemson. Number 20, Iowa State hosts Arkansas State, coming off their loss in Ann Arbor to Michigan. Iowa State, a 21-point favorite in this one. Obviously, big upset win over Iowa. I think it was last week or it was 2 weeks ago now. But big upset win. No one expected them to win, and they did. They pulled it off somehow. Iowa State might be a little bit more legit than I thought they would be this year. They're a really good team, I think. They're at least a 7-win team, I think. Arkansas State, they put up a good fight against Michigan. I think they'll put up a decent fight here against Iowa State as well. But give me Iowa State to win. They won't cover. They won't cover. Number 10, Penn State hosts Kent. Penn State, a 49-point favorite in this one. Drew Aller has actually been really efficient this year in the passing game. And Penn State has the best running back duo in the country right now. Give me Penn State to win. Give me Penn State to cover. They have been really good so far this year. Week 2 was not as impressive as it was, week 1 at West Virginia. But it's still a very good performance overall. But yeah, give me Penn State to win. Kent State blows, so yeah, give me Penn State. Number 16, LSU hosts UCLA. LSU, a 22.5-point favorite in this one. LSU almost losing to South Carolina last week. They probably should have lost that game. To be honest, there's some really bad calls in that game. But LSU, I think, much better team than UCLA. UCLA is just hot garbage. They're on their way to the bottom of the Big Ten. Give me LSU to win that one. Number 17, Notre Dame hosts Miami of Ohio. Notre Dame, a 28-point favorite in this one. I am going to take the Irish to win. I'm going to not... You know what? I'll take them to cover. Miami has not performed as good as I thought they initially looked. But yeah, no, just quarterback play for Miami has been terrible. Never mind. But Riley Leonard hasn't been impressive at all this year. He has 2 interceptions and no touchdowns this year. 49 for 78. Not a good start to the year for him. But Jeremiah Love has been really good. He had a really great game against Purdue last week. Purdue, who also very much blows. But yeah, give me Notre Dame to win. Give me Notre Dame to cover. Number 19, Louisville hosts Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech was in the rankings for 1 week, and then they lost, and they're right back out. Louisville, a 10.5-point favorite in this one. I'm going to take Louisville to win. I am going to take them to cover as well. Louisville is really good this year, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Georgia Tech has had some troubles. But I think a lot of that just stems with, yes, they had the great win against Florida State to open up the year, but they've struggled the last couple weeks now, and they've really struggled all season, especially offensively. But yeah, I really like Louisville's team. They're moving that team in the right direction, and they've put on some really strong performances lately, so give me Louisville. Number 23, Northern Illinois hosts Buffalo. Northern Illinois, a 13.5-point favorite in this one. NIU's exceeded expectations, obviously, with the big upset win over Notre Dame in Week 2. They had a bye week last week. They're getting healthy, of course. Um, and Buffalo has been pretty good so far to start the year. I mean, they're 2-1 right now. Their quarterback play has not been efficient. You're looking at 34 for 66, 3 touchdowns and a pick through 3 games for Agbana, and you know NIU, they're a fairly run heavy team. Um, you know, but I really like, obviously, I like them to win this game. I am going to pick them to win. I think they do cover. They're good. They're probably the favorites to win the MAC. They're at least going to win the West in the MAC because the West is kind of like the Big Ten West last year. It's just like who are these teams, man? Like no, everyone sucks out here. But now the Big Ten doesn't have the East and West divisions anymore, which is nice. But the MAC still has it. But yeah, give me NIU to win. Give me NIU to cover. Next here we got number 14 Oklahoma State hosting number 12 Utah. We got Oklahoma State a 2.5 point favorite in this one. Both these teams coming in here 3-0. Both these teams looking to win the Big 12 this year. I'm gonna take Utah to win this game. I think my biggest problem right now with Oklahoma State is they cannot run the ball at all. They are terrible at running the ball. Ollie Gordon has been awful. 62 carries, 216 yards. Not good. Cam Rising is back this week as well. I'm really surprised that they are, the underdogs in this game. But yeah, give me Utah to win, man. It's gonna be it's the best game of the week, I think, between these two teams. So yeah, but give me Utah to win. Number 7, Missouri hosts Vanderbilt. Missouri a 20-point favorite in this one. The offense has been good for Missouri this year. Defensively, they looked a little shaky against Boston College, but Boston College is pretty good as well. But Vanderbilt blows. They're 2-1 to start the year, which is really nice for Vanderbilt, but they're still nowhere near as good as really anyone else in the SEC. So give me Missouri to win and cover. South Florida hosts number 8 Miami. Miami comes into this one a 17-point favorite. USF has been pretty good so far this year. They've not necessarily surprising, but they've just been really, really good. For what they obviously they had the loss to Bama where they were kind of almost looking to upset Bama up until basically the fourth quarter. Miami has been really, really solid. Mario Cristobal hasn't made any stupid coaching mistakes this year. Cam Ward is elite. Give me Miami to win. Give me Miami to cover. I feel like this is kind of gonna shake down like the Alabama game, where Miami's just gonna have to pull ahead in the fourth quarter. But yeah, give me Miami to win and cover. Number 15 Oklahoma hosts number 6 Tennessee. Tennessee laying 6.5 on the road here. Tennessee has the best offense in football. They still haven't allowed a single point this year defensively. Their defense has actually been really, really good. I feel like Oklahoma's a bit overrated. So, yeah, give me Tennessee in this one. Tennessee seems like they are maybe, the other team besides Texas that can challenge Georgia and maybe even beat Georgia. And maybe we won't even see Georgia in the SEC title game. That's how it's possibly looking, especially the way Georgia looked last week against Kentucky. So, yeah. Number 25, Texas A&M hosts Bowling Green. Texas A&M a 22.5 point favorite in this one. Look, Texas A&M, they're overrated as hell, but it's a MAC school. Give me Texas A&M to win and to cover. Number 5, Ole Miss hosts Georgia Southern. Ole Miss a 36.5 point favorite in this one. Jackson Dart has been elite this year. 73 for 88 and 1,172 yards and a touchdown so far through 3 games. He's been insanely efficient. Heisman candidate, of course, this year. I think he will win the Heisman. He's just that good. And yes, this is a game he's going to use to stat pad again. Give me Ole Miss to win. Give me Ole Miss to cover. They'll probably hit that 66.5 total by themselves as well. I mean, Georgia Southern isn't anything special, so yeah. Number 1, Texas hosts UL Monroe. Texas a 44.5 point favorite in this one. Arch Manning will be getting the start because Quinn Ewers is out for this game. So if he plays like he did in the half a game that he played last week, where he threw 4 touchdowns and ran one in as well, yeah, there shouldn't be an issue. The future is bright in Texas regardless. Obviously, when Quinn Ewers comes back, Arch Manning won't be playing, or won't be starting anyways. But yeah, Quinn Ewers is going to go to the NFL this year, so next year, man, Texas, they're going to be fucking dangerous if Arch Manning can keep up with this. Give me Texas to win. Give me Texas to cover. And then lastly, BYU hosts number 13, Kansas State. Kansas State, just a 7-point favorite in this one. BYU has been actually really surprising so far this year. They're 3-0 already. I don't think really anyone was expecting them to be up there already, to be honest with you. But no, Kansas State, obviously, coming off a big win against Arizona last week, another ranked team at the time. And yeah, I like Kansas State in this one. They have a good offense, not a great offense, but they're very strong up front on both sides of the ball. Give me Kansas State to win, and they cover that. I think BYU is just really outperforming everyone so far, and really, really exceeding expectations. I feel like now that BYU actually has to face a real team, we're going to see them struggle quite a bit here. So yeah, give me Kansas State to win and cover that 7. So that is your top 25 matchups for this week. Georgia on a bye, of course, and a couple other teams I believe are on byes as well. Yeah, Alabama's on a bye as well. So with that said, guys, obviously it was a much shorter episode today because no Ian. And so yeah, rate, review, subscribe, help us out. Let us know what you guys want to see more of course. Follow us on Twitter at the Andrew N. Ian Show. That's Andrew N. Ian Show. Twitter, X, whatever the heck you guys want to call it. I quite frankly don't care. I'm still going to call it Twitter. But anyways, guys, thank you guys so much for listening, and we will see you guys on Tuesday.